A couple sits at their kitchen table, the silence between them deeper than the Grand Canyon, both wondering how they got here. The love that once burned so bright now flickers like a dying ember. Maybe that's your story too. Maybe you're sitting here right now, your heart heavy with the weight of a relationship that's slowly slipping through your fingers like grains of sand. I want you to know something, folks. That pain you're feeling, it's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your transformation. You see, relationships don't struggle because love dies. They struggle because somewhere along the way, we forget how to nurture that love. We forget that love isn't just a feeling that sweeps us off our feet. It's a choice we make every single morning when we open our eyes. Let me share something with you that changed my entire perspective on relationships. I was counseling a couple who had been together for 30 years. They came to me on the brink of divorce, their marriage hanging by a thread. The husband looked at me and said something that struck me like lightning. I've spent 30 years trying to change her, and now I realize I never tried to understand. That's where most of us go wrong. We enter relationships thinking we can mold our partners into who we want them to be, rather than loving them for who they are. We focus so much on fixing what's wrong that we forget to celebrate what's right. Today, we're going to embark on a journey together. A journey that will transform not just your relationship, but your entire understanding of love itself. This isn't about quick fixes or band-aid solutions. This is about deep, lasting change that comes from within. We need to understand something fundamental. Every relationship is a mirror. It reflects back to us our own fears, insecurities, and unresolved wounds. When we point fingers at our partners, we're often pointing at reflections of ourselves. Think about the last argument you had with your partner. What were you really fighting about? Was it really about the dishes in the sink, or was it about feeling unappreciated? Was it about them coming home late, or was it about feeling like you're not a priority in their life? You see, beneath every surface conflict lies a deeper truth. Every criticism, every angry outburst, every silent treatment is really a cry for connection. It's a desperate attempt to say, see me, hear me, love me. The very beautiful truths. The very thing that's causing your relationship to struggle right now could be the catalyst for its transformation. Those painful moments, they're not stop signs, they're turning points. Let me introduce you to what I call the 3 pillars of lasting love. Awareness, acceptance, and action. These aren't just concepts, they're practical tools. They can transform your relationship starting today. Awareness is about understanding that your relationship is a living, breathing entity that requires constant attention. It's about being present enough to notice the small changes in your partner's voice, the subtle shifts in their energy, the unspoken words in their silence. I remember working with a woman who complained that her husband never listened to her. But when we dug deeper, we discovered that she had stopped really talking to him. She had replaced real conversation with surface-level chit-chat about schedules and groceries. She had stopped sharing her dreams, her fears, her inmost thoughts, not because he wouldn't listen, but because somewhere along the way, she had stopped believing he would care. Acceptance, not the kind of passive acceptance that says this is just how things are, but the kind of profound acceptance that says, I see you, all of you, and I choose you exactly as you are. Acceptance doesn't mean we approve of everything our partner does. It means we stop waging war with reality. It means we stop trying to change them into someone they're not. It means we create a safe space where both partners can be authentically them. I want you to try something right now. Close your eyes for a moment and think about your partner. Not the person you wish they were. Not the person they used to be, but who they are right now in this moment. Can you love that person? Can you accept them? Flaws and all? This is where most people struggle. We're so conditioned to focus on what's missing that we become blind to what's present. We're so busy looking for what's wrong that we forget to appreciate what's right. And this brings us to our 3rd pillar, action. Because awareness without action is just observation, and acceptance without action is just resignation. True love requires movement. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones and do the work necessary to create the relationship we desire. But here's the key. The actions that transform relationships aren't grand gestures. They're not expensive gifts or elaborate vacations. They're the small, consistent choices we make every day. It's choosing to turn toward your partner. It's choosing to listen with your heart instead of just your ears. It's choosing to be kind when it would be easier to be right. Think about water for a moment. A single drop of water might seem insignificant, but when it falls consistently in the same spot, it can carve through solid rock. That's how lasting change happens in relationships, not through dramatic declarations of love, but through small, consistent acts of care and attention. The state of your relationship right now is not your destiny. It's simply your starting point. Every great love story has its chapters of struggle. What matters is not that you're struggling, but what you choose to do with that struggle. As we continue this journey together, I want you to remember this. You're not here by accident. You're here because something inside you knows that your relationship is worth fighting for. That small voice inside you that led you here. That's your inner wisdom speaking. And today, we're going to learn how to turn up its volume. Now that we understand the 3 pillars of lasting love, let's dive deeper into how we can actually transform our relationships from the inside out. Because understanding is only the first step. It's what we do with that understanding that creates real change. I want to share with you what I call the mirror moment technique. This is something so powerful, yet so simple that it can transform your relationship literally overnight. The next time you feel frustrated with your partner, instead of reacting, pause. Is this moment trying to teach me about myself? You see, our partners often trigger in us the very things we need to heal within ourselves. That's not coincidence. It's divine orchestration. Every button they push is connected to a wound that needs healing. Every frustration points to a lesson we need to learn. Think about what happens when you look in a mirror. If you see a smudge, do you try to wipe the smudge off the mirror? Of course not. You wipe your face. Yet in relationships, we often try to fix our partner when what we're seeing is actually a reflection of our own inner state. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. When we feel our partner isn't listening to us, our immediate reaction is usually to speak louder, to demand attention, to get angry. What if instead we asked ourselves, how well am I listening? Not just to their words, but to their silence, to their sighs. This brings us to what I call the love language revolution. We've all heard about love languages, but here's what most people get wrong. Your primary love language isn't just about how you prefer to receive love. It's about the way you've learned to cope with the absence of love. If your primary love language is words of affirmation, it might be because somewhere in your story, words were withheld when you needed them most. If it's physical touch, perhaps you learned early on that touch was the only reliable way to feel. Understanding this about yourself and your partner can completely transform how you view your relationship dynamics. But here's the revolutionary part. Instead of demanding that our partners speak our love language, we need to become multilingual in love. We need to learn to give love in all 5 languages, even if they don't come naturally to us. Because true love isn't about getting what we want. It's about growing into who we need to become. This brings us to one of the most crucial aspects of relationship transformation. The power of presence. In our hyper-connected world, we've become masters of distraction. We're physically present, but mentally absent. We share space, but not energy. We exchange words, but not meaning. I want you to try something right now. Think about the last time you really felt connected to your partner. I mean, really connected soul to soul, heart to heart. What was different about that moment? I'll tell you what was different. So you were both fully present. No phones, no TV, no mental to-do lists. Just 2 souls sharing the same space, the same moment, the same breath. That kind of presence isn't just nice to have. It's essential for relationship survival because love doesn't grow in the spaces we plan to create someday. It grows in the moments we create right now in the present. It's a powerful truth. Every relationship has what I call sacred minutes. These are the first few minutes when you wake up, the first few minutes when you reunite after being apart, and the last few minutes before you go to sleep. How you show up in these sacred minutes can literally determine the temperature of your entire relationship. When your partner first wakes up, are they greeted with your warmth or your worry? When you reunite after work, do you lead with love or with logistics? In those precious moments before sleep, do you create connection or cultivate distance? These sacred minutes are like relationship acupuncture points. There's small areas that, when touched with intention, can affect the entire system. Master these moments and you master your relationship's energy. But what about trust? Trust isn't just about fidelity. It's about emotional safety. Can your partner show up as their authentic self without fear of judgment? Can they share their dreams without fear of ridicule? Can they express their fears without fear of abandonment? Creating emotional safety in a relationship is like building a sanctuary in a storm. It requires consistent dedication to 4 key practices: validation, vulnerability, boundaries, and repair. Validation means learning to say, I hear you, I see you, and your feelings make sense. Even when we disagree with our partner's perspective, we can validate their emotional experience. This doesn't mean we have to agree. It means we choose to understand. Vulnerability is about letting ourselves be truly seen, even the parts we think are unlovable. It's about having the courage to say, I'm scared instead of acting angry, to say, I miss you instead of criticizing, to say, I need you instead of withdrawing. Boundaries are the guardrails of love. They're not walls that keep people out. They're fences that define where we end and others begin. Healthy boundaries don't diminish love. They create the safety necessary for love to flourish. And repair. This might be the most important skill of all, because no matter how much we grow, we will still make mistakes. We will still hurt each other. What matters isn't that we never mess up. What matters is how quickly and sincerely we move to repair the damage. Here's a powerful repair ritual I want to share with you. The Heart Bridge practice. When you've hurt your partner or been hurt by them, sit face to face. Take each other's hands. Look, then take turns completing these sentences. What I felt was, what I commit to is, this simple practice can transform conflict from a battle into a bridge. It moves us from defending our positions to understanding each other's hearts. Every relationship goes through seasons. There will be springs of renewal, summers of joy, autumns of change, and winters of challenge. The key isn't to avoid the winters. It's to learn how to keep your love warm even in the coldest seasons. We move forward, I want you to hold on to this truth. The quality of your relationship isn't determined by the absence of problems, but by your capacity to grow through them together. Every challenge is an invitation to love more deeply, to understand more fully, to connect more authentically. Now, let's talk about something that most relationship experts never address: the power of energy in relationships. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take creates an energetic imprint in your relationship. This isn't some mystical concept. It's a practical reality that affects your connection every single day. Have you ever walked into a room right after an argument? Even if no one says a word, you can feel the tension in the air. That's energy. Have you ever felt the warmth of your partner's love without them saying a word? That's energy too. Understanding this truth gives us incredible power to transform our relationships. I call this the emotional environment principle. Just as we're responsible for our physical environment, we're responsible for the emotional environment we create in our relationships. You be a storm cloud or a ray of sunshine in your relationship's atmosphere. Here's a profound truth that might shake you to your core. Your partner doesn't react to what you do nearly as much as they react to the energy behind what you do. You can say, I love you with your words, while your energy screams, I resent you, and guess which message they'll receive. This brings us to what I call the energy alignment practice. Before any significant interaction with your partner, whether it's a serious conversation or just greeting them after work, take a moment to align your energy with your highest intentions. What energy am I bringing to this moment? Is it aligned with the love I want to create? But let's get even more practical. I want to share with you the 4 cornerstones of conscious relationship. These are the fundamental practices that can transform any relationship from struggling to thriving. The first cornerstone is conscious communication. This goes far beyond just talking and listening. It's about creating what I call soul conversations. These are discussions that go beneath the surface, beneath the everyday logistics and complaints, to touch the real heart of what matters. Once a week, set aside an hour for what I call heart time. During this hour, you take turns completing these sentences. This week, my heart felt. Right now, I'm dreaming of. What I appreciate about us is, what I need more of is, the magic of this practice isn't just in the words, it's in the sacred space it creates for authentic connection. The second cornerstone is emotional sovereignty. This means taking complete responsibility for your emotional state. Your partner can't make you happy, and they can't make you unhappy. They can influence your emotions, yes, but ultimately, your emotional state is your responsibility. This is revolutionary because it frees us from the trap of emotional dependency. When we stop making our partners responsible for our happiness, we free them to love us without the burden of our expectations. We free ourselves to love them without the resentment of unmet needs. The third cornerstone is spiritual partnership. Now, this isn't about religion. It's about recognizing that your relationship has a higher purpose. Your partnership isn't just about making each other happy. It's about helping each other grow into your highest potential. When you view your relationship through this lens, everything changes. Conflicts become opportunities for growth. Challenges become invitations to evolve. Even your partner's most annoying habits can be seen as spiritual assignments designed to help you develop patience, understanding, and the fourth cornerstone is creative passion. Many relationships die not from conflict, but from stagnation. They become predictable, routine, boring. But here's the truth. Passion isn't something you find. It's every single day. This brings us to what I call the daily passion practice. Each day, do one thing. Just one thing that breaks the routine. It doesn't have to be big. Send an unexpected love note. Change the way you greet each other. Share a new dream. Dance in the kitchen. The key is to consciously create moments that remind you both that love is an adventure. Now let's address something that many couples struggle with, but few want to talk about: the gap between expectation and reality. We all enter relationships with a story in our heads about how love should look, how our partner should behave, how our life together should unfold. When reality doesn't match this story, we suffer. The source of most relationship pain isn't what's happening. It's the story we're telling ourselves about what's happening. Change the story, and you change the relationship. I call this story alchemy. It's the practice of consciously choosing empowering interpretations of your relationship experiences. When your partner is distant, instead of telling yourself they don't care about me, you might choose they're dealing with something difficult and need space. When they forget something important, instead of they're selfish and inconsiderate, try they're human and imperfect, just like me. This isn't about making excuses for genuine problems. It's about freeing ourselves from the prison of negative interpretations that poison our love. Let's talk about what I call the love bank account. Just like a financial account, your relationship has a balance of positive and negative interactions. Every kind word, every loving gesture, every moment of attention is a deposit. Every criticism, every dismissal, every moment of neglect is a withdrawal. The key to a thriving relationship isn't avoiding all withdrawals. That's impossible. The key is maintaining a strongly positive balance through consistent deposits. Research shows that stable relationships have a ratio of at least 5 positive interactions for every negative one. But here's what most people get wrong. The size of the deposit doesn't matter nearly as much as the frequency. Small, consistent deposits, a genuine smile, a gentle touch, a moment of full attention, build more relationship wealth than grand gestures made occasionally. Think of it this way. Would you rather have someone deposit $1,000 in your bank account once a year or $3 every day? Over time, those daily deposits not only add up to more, they create a pattern of reliability and consistency that builds deep trust. This brings us to one of the most powerful practices I want to share with you today. The gratitude zoom. Every night before you go to sleep, zoom in on 3 specific things you appreciate about your partner from that. I love things like their kind but specific moments. I loved how their eyes crinkled when they smiled at me over coffee this morning. As we move deeper into our journey of relationship transformation, let's explore what I call the healing harmony approach. This is where we learn to use our relationship challenges not as sources of pain, but as portals to profound personal and mutual healing. You see, every relationship struggle contains within it a sacred invitation. When we feel triggered by our partner, it's often our own unhealed wounds calling for attention. These triggers are like emotional smoke alarms. They're not the fire itself, they're alerting us to where healing is needed. I want to share with you the emotional archaeology technique. Just like an archaeologist carefully uncovers ancient artifacts, we need to gently excavate the root causes of our relationship patterns. When something triggers you in your relationship, ask yourself these 3 questions. When was the first time I felt this way? What does this remind me of from my past? What did I need then that I still need now? This practice isn't about blaming our past. It's about understanding how our history shapes our present reactions. Once we understand this, we can begin to heal not just our current relationship, but all our relationships, including the one with ourselves. The way you do relationship is the way you do everything. The patterns you bring to love are the same patterns you bring to life. If you're controlling in love, you're probably controlling in other areas. If you avoid conflict in your relationship, you likely avoid it elsewhere too. This understanding leads us to what I call the wholeness work. Many of us enter relationships looking for someone to complete us, to fill our empty spaces, to make us whole. But true love can only happen between 2 people who are willing to be whole on their own. Let me share with you the self-love sequence. Every morning, before you interact with your partner, take a moment to fill yourself with love. Place your hand on your heart and say, I love you, I accept you, I am here for you. This isn't selfish, it's essential. Because you can only give from what you have, and you can only love others to the degree that you love yourself. Now let's talk about what I call conflict alchemy. The art of turning relationship conflicts into opportunities for deeper connection. Most couples try to avoid conflict. But what if I told you that your conflicts are actually attempting to create closeness? Instead of trying to win the argument, try to understand the longing beneath it. Every complaint is a crying need. Every criticism contains a wish. When your partner says you never listened to me, they're really saying, I miss feeling connected to you. I want to share with you the HEAL method for transforming conflicts. HSAA, hold space for feelings. ONE, explore underlying needs, acknowledge each other's truth. LLBO, love through listening. This method isn't about avoiding disagreements. It's about using them as springboards for deeper intimacy. When conflict arises, remember, you're not fighting each other, you're fighting for your connection. Let's dive into what I call the laboratory practical experiments you can conduct in your relationship to create lasting change. These aren't theoretical concepts. They're actual practices that can transform your relationship starting today. The first experiment is the 30-second connection. 3 times a day, stop whatever you're doing and spend just 30 seconds fully connecting with your partner. Look into their eyes. Hold their hand, share a genuine embrace. This might seem simple, but it's profound. In those 30 seconds, you're literally rewiring your brain's relationship patterns. The second experiment is appreciation amplification. For 1 week, commit to expressing appreciation for your partner at least 10 times a day. But here's the key. They must be specific appreciations. Not just thank you or I love you, but I appreciate how you made me laugh when I was stressed, or I love how your face lights up when you talk about your dreams. The third experiment is what I call sacred listening. Once a day, give your partner 5 minutes of absolute, undivided attention. No phones, no TV, no interruptions. Just pure, focused listening. Don't try to fix any. Don't offer advice. Just listen with your whole being. Now let's address something crucial. The role of individual growth in relationship healing. Your relationship can only be as healthy as the 2 people in it. This means that personal growth isn't selfish. It's an essential part of relationship. I want to introduce you to the concept of growth spiraling. Picture a double helix. 2 separate spirals that wind around each other, moving upward together. That's what a healthy relationship looks like. Each partner is on their own growth journey, but these journeys intertwine and support each other. This brings us to the individual evolution agreement. Sit down with your partner and each write down 3 areas where you want to grow personally. Share these with each other and discuss how you can support each other's growth while maintaining your connection. Remember this profound truth. The quality of your relationship is directly proportional to your willingness to grow. Every time you heal a wound within yourself, you create space for more love in your relationship. Every time you expand your consciousness, you expand your capacity to love. Let's talk about what I call love's learning edges. Those uncomfortable places where we're called to stretch beyond our current capacity to love. These edges might show up as jealousy, insecurity, fear of abandonment, or difficulty with trust. Instead of seeing these as problems, view them as your curriculum in the school of love. Here's a powerful practice for working with these edges. The edge dancing meditation. When you feel yourself hitting a learning edge in your relationship, when you feel triggered, scared, or uncomfortable, pause, breathe, place your hand on your heart, then ask yourself, what is love trying to teach me in this moment? This brings us to one of the most transformative practices I want to share with you. The future self-dialogue. Close your eyes and imagine yourself 10 years from now in a deeply fulfilling relationship. What advice does that future self have for you? What do they want you to know about love? What do they see that you might be missing right now? As we near the end of our journey together, I want to share with you what I call the legacy of love perspective. Every choice you make in your relationship isn't just about you and your partner. It's about the ripple effect your love creates in the world. Think about this. How many lives are touched by the quality of your relationship? Your children, if you have them, are learning about love by watching you. Your friends and family are influenced by the energy of your partnership. Your colleagues and community are affected by the person you become through your relationship journey. This brings us to what I call the butterfly effect of love. Just as a butterfly flapping its wings can influence weather patterns across the world, every moment of love you create in your relationship influences the collective field of human consciousness. When you choose love over fear, kindness over criticism, understanding over judgment, you're not just healing your relationship, you're helping to heal the world. Let me share with you the 7 sacred commitments that can transform any relationship from struggling to thriving. These aren't just promises, they're declarations of your highest intentions for love. First, I commit to seeing you with new eyes every day. This means choosing to see your partner not as your history with them, not as your judgments about them, but as they are in this moment, always evolving, always new. I commit taking responsibility for my own emotional well-being. This means no more emotional dependency, no more blame games, no more making your partner responsible for your happiness. I commit to growing through our challenges. This means viewing every difficulty not as a problem to be solved, but as an opportunity to deepen your love and understanding. I commit to celebrating your growth, even when it challenges me. This means supporting your partner's evolution, even when their growth pushes you out of your comfort zone. I commit to creating sacred space for our love. This means consciously protecting and nurturing your connection, making it a priority amidst life's many demands. I commit to choosing love again and again. This means recognizing that love isn't a one-time choice, but a moment-by-moment decision to open your heart. I commit to being the change I wish to see in our relationship. This means embodying the qualities you wish to experience more of in your partnership. Now let's talk about what I call the quantum field of love. In quantum physics, we learn that everything is energy and everything is connected. Your relationship exists in this field of infinite possibilities. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is either expanding or contracting the field of love between you. This understanding leads us to the love frequency practice. Just as a radio needs to be tuned to the right frequency to receive a clear signal, you need to tune your energy to the frequency of love to create the relationship you desire. This isn't mystical thinking. It's practical energy management. Here's how you do it. Throughout your day, especially when you're with your partner, ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting right now? Is it love or fear, connection or separation, peace or conflict? Then consciously, choose to shift your energy to align with love. As we approach our conclusion, I want to share with you what I believe is the ultimate secret to lasting love. It's not about finding the right person. It's not about having the perfect relationship. It's about becoming the right person. It's about creating the perfect love within yourself. You see, the greatest gift you can give your relationship is your own inner work. Every time you heal a wound within yourself, you create space for more love. Every time you release a limiting belief, you open the door for deeper connection. Every time you choose love over fear, you strengthen the foundation of your relationship. Remember the mirror moment we talked about earlier? Here's the deepest truth about that. Your relationship isn't just reflecting who you are. It's reflecting who you're becoming. As you grow in love, your relationship grows. As you expand in consciousness, your relationship expands. As you deepen in wisdom, This brings us to our final practice, what I call the love's highest vision. Take a moment right now to close your eyes. Imagine your relationship 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. See it filled with joy, with understanding, with deep connection. See yourself and your partner growing together, supporting each other, loving each other more deeply with each passing day. That vision isn't just a fantasy. It's a preview of what's possible. But it can only become reality through your conscious choice, your consistent action, your unwavering commitment to love. As we close our time together, I want you to know something deep in your heart. The fact that you're here listening to these words means that you have everything it takes to transform your relationship. The very desire for change is evidence of your capacity to create it. Every relationship struggle you've experienced has been preparing you for this moment. Every challenge has been strengthening you for this transformation. Every disappointment has been teaching you what you truly want and need in love. You are not a victim of your relationship patterns. You are the author of your love story. Starting right now, in this moment, you can begin writing a new chapter. You can choose to bring more presence, more understanding, more love to your relationship. You can choose to see your partner with new eyes, to listen with a more open heart, to love with greater courage. The quality of your relationship isn't determined by the absence of problems, but by your capacity to use those problems as catalysts for growth. Every challenge is an invitation to love more deeply. Every conflict is an opportunity to understand more fully. Every moment of disconnection is a chance to create an even stronger connection. Your relationship is not just a part of your life. It's a sacred container for your evolution. It's not just about finding happiness. It's about discovering your capacity for unconditional love. It's not just about getting your needs met. It's about becoming the fullest expression of love that you can. As you leave here today, carry this truth with you. You are not just fixing a struggling relationship. You are participating in the evolution of love itself. Every moment of healing in your relationship contributes to the healing of the collective heart of humanity. Every choice you make for love ripples out into the world in ways you may never see, but are profoundly real. The love you're seeking is already within you. The connection you're longing for is already possible. The relationship you dream of is already seated in this moment, waiting for you to nurture it into being. The journey begins now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when your partner changes, but right now in this moment with your next choice, your next word, your next action. Choose love, choose growth, choose connection, choose to be the love you wish to see in your relationship, and watch as the miracle of transformation unfolds in your life, in your relationship, and in your world. Thank you for opening your hearts to these teachings. May they serve as seeds of transformation in the garden of your relationship. May your love grow stronger, deeper, and more beautiful with each passing day. And may you always remember that the power to transform your relationship lies not in some distant future, but right here, right now, in the choices you make in each precious moment.